another one of those classic videos, man. Fights we didn't get to see. Check out my playlist right here on my YouTube channel. B Marsh Boxing, check out my playlist. Fights we didn't get to see. This way I cover all kind of fights. Fights that coulda, shoulda, woulda, shoulda happened. Fights that two contemporaries in the same era, but for some reason or another, the fight never happened. You know what I mean? And today we're going to take you back to the mid-70s, you know what I mean? Probably around 74, 75 to be exact, you know what I mean? Somewhere in between there. We're going to take you back to the heavyweight division, you know what I mean? Yes, indeed, to the heavyweight division. We got none other than Ken Norton Sr. versus Joe Frazier. Now, I remember Ken Norton Jr. because that's even when I knew his pops was a short-lived heavyweight world champion, a very good contender in the 70s. I knew Ken Norton Jr. when I used to watch the 49ers back in the mid-90s, and also the Dallas Cowboys, you know what I mean? Vicious linebacker, very good linebacker. Come to find out when I was a kid that his pops was a great heavyweight in the 70s, you know what I mean? Yes, indeed. So we're going to take you back, man, to the mid-70s, like I said. Ken Norton versus none other than, who we talking about today? Ken Norton Sr. versus Joe Frazier. Yes, indeed. This is a fight that coulda, shoulda happened. You know what I'm saying? Joe Frazier was a heavyweight world champion, unified, undisputed. You know what I mean? And the man Ken Norton, like I said, was a short-lived world champion. You know, the WBC basically did him like they did Canelo. Gave him a strap. This was actually when Ken Norton got a strap before he fought. He didn't even have to fight anybody. The WBC handed him a strap. Nothing against Ken Norton, but that's actually the truth of what happened. What had happened was when Leon Spinks beat Muhammad Ali in the very first fight, Leon Spinks became undisputed WBC and WBA heavyweight champion of the world. So rather than face his WBC mandatory, he decided to vacate the strap and fight Muhammad Ali in a rematch. And who was his mandatory? Ken Norton. And you can't blame the man Leon Spinks. Leon Spinks was 8-0, heavyweight champion of the world. Why he want to fight this man, Ken Norton, when he could do a rematch with the man Muhammad Ali for a lucrative payday? A big mega fight that they did the rematch in the Superdome in Louisiana. You know what I mean? You check it. So, with that being said, that's how the man Ken Norton became a champion. The WBC gave him the strap because the heavyweight champion at the time refused to, Leon Spinks refused to fight him, you know what I mean? He actually got vacated the strap or got stripped in order not to fight the man Leon Spinks. So here we are, man. Fights we didn't get to see, you know. I would say the best time for this fight, Ken Norton Jr., excuse me, I'm so used to Ken Norton Jr. Ken Norton versus Joe Frazier would probably be around, I would say somewhere between 74 and 75. Right after when Ken Norton got knocked out by the man George Foreman in Caracas, Venezuela, got stopped in 3 rounds, got devastated, brutalized, destroyed by George Foreman. And before the man Joe Frazier got to fight, what's his name, Muhammad Ali in the third fight, the Thriller in Manila in the Philippines. That would have actually been an ideal time to fight, you know what I mean? Now, word on the street is that these two guys were good friends, Joe Frazier and Ken Norton, you know what I mean? Word on the street was that they were good friends and they never needed to fight each other because these guys were buddies, you know what I mean? Now, look, I've seen buddies fight before, I'm saying. I've seen friends fight before, so I'm not sure if I buy that excuse on why they didn't fight. They were sparring partners, you know what I mean? At one point in time, both guys were trained at the same time, were under the tutelage of the great Eddie Futch, okay? But there was also a point in time when, as a matter of fact, there was a point in time when both guys were trained. Either Joe Frazier was being trained by, because Joe Frazier's first trainer was Yankee Durham, okay? And what you call it? And the man Ken Norton Jr. He started being trained by a guy by the name of Billy Slayton. You know what I mean? He was a guy I remember who trained fellas like Michael Dokes. You know what I mean? He had a slew of heavyweights. You know what I'm saying? That's who the man Slayton coached. You know what I mean? Now, at one point in time, both guys were under the tutelage of the man Eddie Futch, but neither guy was trained by Eddie Futch their whole career, you know what I mean? So, when they were both trained by Eddie Futch, Joe Frazier was a heavyweight world champ. The man, Ken Norton, was on his way up. Like, we talking about like 72, you know what I mean? 1972, the man, Ken Norton is on his way up. He's not yet a contender for the heavyweight straps of the world, you know what I mean? So, around 1974-75, like I said, George Foreman knocked out the man Ken Norton, all right? And then the man Joe Frazier, he fought the man Muhammad Ali in the Thriller in Manila. Okay? The Thriller in Manila in 1975, all right? And that was their third fight, you know what I mean? It was the third time they fought, so... And a great fight, an epic fight, you know what I mean? One of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time, but to me, that fight is a little too brutal. That fight is not for the faint of heart, you know what I mean? The Thriller in Manila. You check it? So, the man Joe Frazier, right? Yeah, Joe Frazier. Like I said, man, the best time for them to fight was 74-75, you know what I'm saying? You know, the man Joe Frazier, at that point in time, he lost to Muhammad Ali. Yeah, because he lost to Foreman first, then he lost to Ali in the second fight. A close fight. I believe it was a split decision. A lot of holding and clinching in that fight. You know what I mean? It was not a pleasing fight like the first fight. That's the truth about it. Okay, so he fought guys like Jimmy Ellis and Jerry Quarry. Joe Frazier did. Jimmy Ellis, a former WBA heavyweight champion of the world, and Jerry Quarry, a guy who was a former contender, you know what I mean, for the heavyweight championship of the world. That's who he beat, and he stopped him twice in order to get back a title shot now for the Thriller in Manila, you know what I mean? Really and truly, neither guy, Joe Frazier or Ken Norton, needed each other. I wasn't around in the 70s. I don't recall these guys, as far as my boxing knowledge, being mandated to fight each other in order to get a title shot. Both guys fought Muhammad Ali. Both guys fought George Foreman. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, Joe Frazier has 4 losses in his career. And that comes 1-1 against, actually 4 losses, 2 to Muhammad Ali and 2 to George Foreman, you know what I mean? The man Ken Norton beat the man Muhammad Ali in the first fight, then he lost his last 2, you know what I mean? And I believe the third fight was in 1976. Now, some may say, look, Joe Frazier might have been past it in 1975. I mean, he had been knocked out brutally by the man George Foreman. Then he lost to Muhammad Ali in the second fight. Well, I'm not going to say he was past it, because the way that man fought Muhammad Ali in the third fight, Thriller in Manila, he was about to have Muhammad Ali quit on the stool and lose his heavyweight undisputed straps. You know what I mean? That's the truth about it. It's just a matter that Eddie Futch pulled the plug on Joe Frazier, and he did not enter the 15th round, and Muhammad Ali retains his world title. You know what I mean? But styles make fights, and Joe Frazier had a style that brought a lot of problems to the man Muhammad Ali. And so did Ken Norton, you know. I believe Ken Norton fought the man Muhammad Ali in the third fight in 1976. And at that point in time, you know, Muhammad Ali was a little past it. You know what I'm saying? Still heavyweight champion of the world. And guess what? A lot of people thought that Muhammad Ali lost that fight. I personally don't believe so. I had Muhammad Ali winning a very close fight in in the third fight versus Ken Norton. You know what I'm saying? I did. I had him winning a very close fight. You check it, Muhammad Ali versus Ken Norton. You know what I mean? I thought Muhammad Ali pulled it out in the championship rounds to win that fight. You check it. So was Ken Norton past his prime? Ken Norton was fighting against Larry Holmes, a prime Larry Holmes in 1978, in one of the greatest fights, period. Not just the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. One of the greatest fights, period, you'll ever see. Very close fight, very close encounter, you know what I mean? You check it. So, with that being said, right, the man, was Joe Frazier was older than the man, um, Ken Norton for sure. After he lost that fight to Muhammad Ali, he fought George Foreman again. He got battered. This time, I believe he got knocked out or stopped in the 5th round. Okay? And then, you know, he was just a little past his prime, you know what I mean? He got a draw in his last fight versus somebody named Cummings, you know what I'm saying? So the man, Ken Norton, that last fight, the Thriller in Manila, took a whole lot up out of Joe Frazier, you know what I'm saying? Okay? So with this fight, I believe it should have happened. What's his name? Ken Norton won a whole lot of fights after the loss to the man George Foreman. You know what I mean? Until he got his title shot in 1976 versus Muhammad Ali in the third fight. You know what I'm saying? Joe Frazier only had to beat 2 people, Jimmy Ellis and Jerry Quarry, in order to get a title shot in 1975. So the best time for that fight to happen would have been a little after. Look, if like I said, neither of them were mandated to fight each other in order to get a title shot. The lucrative fights for both guys were not fighting each other. The lucrative fights for both guys would have been fighting Muhammad Ali, which they did. Both of them 3 times. Muhammad Ali faced these guys 3 times apiece. You know what I mean? Both guys gave him problems. So these guys didn't need each other. You know what I mean? But also the fact that they were both at one point in time sparring partners, they're very good friends. That also probably played a factor in why nobody was they themselves were not looking to go at each other and cut off each other's head in order to get a title shot. They were gonna get it regardless, you know what I mean? Because their styles of fights versus Muhammad Ali made sense and it made money. And they didn't really need each other in order to get them world title shots, you know what I'm saying? And by 1975, after Frazier lost to Muhammad Ali in the Thriller in Manila, he was on his way descending. The man, Ken Norton, now is probably like the number 2 ranked guy in the heavy, number 1 ranked contender for the heavyweight title. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, they paths and also their primes were not aligned. But that don't mean nothing to me because, like I said, Frazier gave that man Muhammad Ali a whole lot of trouble in that Thriller in Manila. And in 1976, Ken Norton gave the man Muhammad Ali a whole lot of trouble in that third fight they fought. Okay? So, let's talk about it, man. I think Joe Frazier, let's get into the breakdown and prediction. Joe Frazier is about 5'11 and a half, 73-inch reach. Ken Norton is about 6'3", and the 80-inch reach, right? Now, both guys, they style of fight to me gives boxers, pure boxers like Muhammad Ali and the Larry Holmes, gives them problems. But who destroys guys like Ken Norton and Joe Frazier? The sluggers, the Jerry Quarries of the world. Not Jerry Quarry, Jerry Coonies of the world. The, what's that guy's name? Ernie Shavers of the world. The George Foreman's in them. You know what I mean? You check it because of the way these guys fight. Norton and Frazier. These guys are basically like sluggers. You know what I mean? Ken Norton had that crazy defense, though. You know what I'm saying? He had that crazy cross-arm kind of defense. You know what I mean? Very good tight defense. But he also walks into punches, just like the man Joe Frazier. You know what I mean? Joe Frazier had the vicious head movement, you know, and that vicious left hook. So I think both of these guys, I think they fight, a fight between Frazier and Ken Norton would be a war. It'd be a war, you know what I mean? And I think Ken Norton, being the taller fighter, he'd have trouble with the sluggers. Same as the man Joe Frazier, but Joe Frazier got knocked out by George Foreman. Those are his only 2 losses, you know what I mean? I believe he got dropped by Oscar Benavidez as well, you know what I'm saying? Got to go back and recollect my memory on these old 70s fights. Where's my man Mr. Doc when you need him? I probably should have consulted with Slim, my man Mr. Doc, before I did this video, but here we are, man. It's neither here nor there. I think Ken Norton, I think the man would be winning the first rounds. I think Joe Frazier, you know, Joe Frazier is a notoriously slow starter, you know what I'm saying? You check it, and I think he would bring the pain to the man Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier would be ducking and dodging a lot of punches, trying to, you know, with the head movement, but I don't think it'd be enough for him to win the first few rounds, you know what I mean? I think a man like Joe Frazier, you know, is a very good fighter, and so is Ken Norton. But Joe Frazier is more, as a heavyweight, to me, he's a more seasoned heavyweight, you know what I'm saying? And he had the type of kryptonite left hook that was one of the most devastating signature punches in boxing history, you know what I'm saying? And I do think that the man, Joe Frazier, would at some point in time clip the man, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying Ken Norton doesn't have a good chin, but I've seen him knocked out plenty of times. You know what I'm saying? And in devastating fashion, you know what I mean? And early, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, and when he gets caught on that chin early, it's a wrap. I think Joe Frazier would stay on the inside, a lot of head movement. After losing probably the first 3 rounds, he'd start wearing the man down with a lot of pressure, you know what I'm saying? The body punches, the left hook, you know what I mean? He'd get on the inside because he's obviously giving up a lot of height. You know what I mean? You see how he destroyed the man Jimmy Ellis? Man, Joe Frazier was a great fighter from Philadelphia. And I think his left hook would at some point in time catch the man Ken Norton, you know what I mean? And he would probably stop him probably in the 8th round, you know? Keys to victory for the man Ken Norton. Ken Norton would have to employ that tight defense, you know what I mean? But I think he wouldn't be as aggressive keeping this man at the end of his jab and boxing him from the outside. Sooner than later, Joe Frazier will close the distance, and Ken Norton can't help himself but to get into a brawling posture and go toe-to-toe with the man Joe Frazier. And if it's toe-to-toe on the inside, I've got to go with the man Joe Frazier, you know what I mean? Like I said, man, you know, the primes were not always at the same point in time, but I think 74, 75 would be a great time for them to fight each other before the man Frazier met Ali in the 3rd fight. And after all them victories that the man Ken Norton accumulated after getting knocked out in Venezuela, Caracas by the man George Foreman, you know what I mean? That would have been the best time for them to fight, and it would have made for an epic fight, you know what I'm saying? Because if Joe Frazier was allegedly, quote unquote, past his prime at that point in time, he gave the man Muhammad Ali hell, you know what I'm saying, in that 3rd fight, and vice versa. Muhammad Ali was keeping him at the end of the jab, and he was punching, going backwards. It was a great fight, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm gonna make my pick. I got the man Joe Frazier via 8th round stopping the man Ken Norton from San Diego. It's gonna be an East Coast West Coast battle. Philadelphia, Joe Frazier from Philly, and the man Ken Norton from San Diego, California. And I think the guy from the city of brotherly love will win this fight via 8th round KO. All right, be March Boxing, your thoughts and comments. And I'm going to catch you on the next one, all right? 1.